An apple orchard produces a profit of $130 per tree if exactly 1,000 trees are planted. Due to overcrowding, the profit reduces by 8 cents per tree planted once you pass 1,000 trees. How many trees should be planted to maximize profit? Now, we're going to start with something real simple, which is, what is profit? Profit, in our case, profit is going to be the yield from one tree times the number of trees. Okay? So in other words, how much money does one tree make me times the number of trees I plant? It's a pretty simple concept, actually. And we're going to call this Y, and we're going to call this N. Okay? Now, what we have to do is we have to figure out the yield from one tree. If we planted exactly 1,000 trees, Y would be 130, period. But we don't know how many trees we're going to plant. We don't have a clue. So here's what we're going to say. We're going to say Y equals 130. Okay, that's our starting point. Minus, now, we're going to lose 8 cents for every tree above 1,000 that we plant. So I'm going to put minus because we lose money. And I'm going to say 0.08 times N minus 1,000. Now, follow my logic here. If I planted 1,100 trees, 1,100 minus 1,000 would be 100. 100 times 0.08, that's how much profit I would lose for overcrowding my, I guess apples are planted in orchards. That's how much I would lose due to overcrowding. Okay? So the amount I make per tree would go down, but the number of trees goes up, and so my profit may still go up. And that's what we're trying to find out. So this is yield. This is how much I make per tree. So profit equals 130 minus 0.08 N minus 1,000 times N. It's going back to this original definition of Y times N. Now I'm going to simplify this a little bit. So I'm going to distribute my 0.08. So I get P equals 130 minus, and if I distribute this 0.08, I get 210, I get 0.08 N plus 80. Okay? And then if I combine 80 and 130, I get 210 minus 0.08 N times N. Helps if you can see what I'm doing, doesn't it? So I'm just taking what's in the square brackets here and whittling it down to a simple expression. And now I'm going to distribute my N. So I get P equals 210 N minus 0.08 N squared. This is going to give us a quadratic. The y-axis is going to be the variable by itself. That's going to be profit. The x-axis is going to be the variable on the right-hand side of the equation, which is the number of trees, and it's going to look something like this. Okay? And it's going to have a maximum. Okay? It's going to have a maximum. And the maximum of a quadratic, this shape is called a parabola, it's the shape that a quadratic makes, is going to be, the x-coordinate will always be negative b over 2a. Now in our case, the x-coordinate would be n. Okay? So negative b over 2a, this is b, and this is a. So in our case, it's going to be negative 210 over negative 0.16. 2 times 0.08 is 0.16. When I do that division, I come up with 1312.5 trees. Okay, so that's how many trees we need to maximize our profit. That's our N coordinate, or our X coordinate, our horizontal axis. Now what if they ask you to find the profit? P equals 210 times 1312.5. And in reality, I'm going to use 1312.5, but in reality we know that you can't plant a half a tree, so this would be 1312 or 1313, depending on which side of the fence you fall on. I would round it down to 1312. Okay, so 210 times 1312.5 minus 0.08 times 1312.5 squared. And if I do that math, I say 210 times 1312.5, I get a pretty large number. And then subtract 0.08 times 1312.5 squared. And I get P equals $137,812.50. Okay, so this is how many trees you have to plant to maximize your profit, and this is how much profit you would make. This is a really good example of a realistic problem you would see in business, where we come up with a quadratic model to try and find a maximum or a minimum. Do remember, just a quick note, if your A term is negative, then it will look like this. Okay, it'll point downward. If A is positive, it'll look like this. And this point here will be a minimum. It'll be a minimum instead of a maximum. So I hope this helps you, and if you have any questions, please let me know.